Welcome, Ms Legalista here, aka Attorney Sheila. We are going to be looking at the Tyre Nichols suit. Just been released a few days ago. I've done a lot of videos talking about what happened in that case, looking at the dedication of all of the officers that were involved, looking at what happened with the EMTs. Well, now all of these people, including the city of Memphis and the police chief, have been thrown into this lawsuit. We're going to break it piece by piece.
Yeah.
And this has been filed in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Tennessee. Now we're going to be looking at this, breaking this down, because look at how many pages this is. This is not something that they put together last night or overnight or over the weekend. This is something that they're working on for a while. And if you recall, I did a video a while back talking about when was this lawsuit going to be filed. We knew it was going to be, given what had happened, given the videos that had been released showing the interaction, the beatings, showing the EMTs also. We knew this is coming, so this is not surprising. What I want to do in this episode is break down the preliminary statement. And actually, I want to read through it so that you can see exactly they are stating in this first section of the document, because I think this is the piece that sets the stage. When you go to court, when you're in litigation, you like to have a theme. We want to take a look at what their theme is going to be. We want to take a look at how they lay out this preliminary statement. And then, of course, I'll have several other episodes going over some of the other things in this, because, like I said, this is 139 pages. Now, I've done long videos before, long episodes before, and yeah, I think I would have to break for lunch or something like that in order to be able to get through this one. So, for sake and mine, we are going to break this up. So, as you see here at the top, we've got his mom has filed this, and let's take a look at these plaintiffs. We've got a jury demand here. And this is what I was stating earlier. You see everybody, all of these people that we already knew about, the city of Memphis, the police chief, all of the officers, including Preston Hemphill, who wasn't there at the actual beating site, but was one of the first to on the initial scene. Then we see the three MTs, and then we see the supervisor at the end, the one who retired. Remember, I did that video on the officer who retired before his hearing. And glasses are looking awful as usual. I feel like I need to take care of that so that I can be able to see. Complaint at law. Here comes the plaintiff, Mr. Nichols' mother, and for the estate by attorneys. All right, here's what the preliminary statement says. Let's get into this section. All right, here we go. On February 27, 2023, the world bore witness to videos of a gruesome, barbaric display of police brutality on the streets of a quiet neighborhood in Memphis, Tennessee, from the night of January 7, 2023. Caught on film, all to see was the abhorrent and reprehensible conduct of the city of Memphis's unqualified, untrained, and supervised police officers acting under the color of law and pursuant to officially sanctioned constitutional policies and practices. The innocent victim was a 29-year-old father of one who was on his way home to have dinner with his parents. His name was Tyre DeAndre Nichols. The disturbing, tragic events of the night were created and set in motion over a year prior, when the Memphis City Council appointed Sarah Davis new police chief. The savage beating of Tyre Nichols was the direct and foreseeable product of the unconstitutional policies, practices, customs, and deliberate indifference of the city of Memphis and Chief Davis, the city's chief policymaker, for decisions related to the Memphis Police Department. In 2021, the city of Memphis hired Davis as its chief of police and Sean Jones as the assistant chief of police. The city did so with full knowledge that both individuals had previously served in the Atlanta Police Department, where they played prominent roles in the Red Dog Unit, a police unit that was eventually disbanded due to numerous allegations of violations of the Fourth Amendment of the United States Constitution, including but not limited to illegal searches and seizures and excessive force. Turning a blind eye to these officials' histories of disregard for the Constitution and the rights of Atlanta citizens, the city of Memphis made a conscious choice to disregard the rights of its own, to bring these individuals on, and to bestow them with the highest law enforcement authority possible in their police department. History would repeat itself as Davis and Jones reverted back to their Red Dog days in Atlanta. In 2021, the two created an identical unit within the Memphis Police Department that they claimed would root out an alleged crime problem within the city. Instead, it predictably implemented the same unconstitutional mandates, policies, and customs, thereby breeding its own insidious and institutionalized corruption that left a multitude of constitutional violations in its wake. Their now disbanded Memphis unit carried a name that will forever live in infamy for the devastation and carnage it caused. The Street Crimes Operation to Restore Peace in Our Neighborhoods, otherwise known as Scorpion. Rather than, quote, restore peace, unquote, in Memphis neighborhoods, the Scorpion unit brought terror, taking its eponym, I don't know how you say this, supposed to be like a version of eponymous, to the extreme. The Scorpion unit was designed as a sting unit. In reality, it was an officially authorized gang of inexperienced, untrained, hyper aggressive police officers turned loose on the Memphis community without any oversight. They were instructed to strike without warning and many times without any valid constitutional basis. Consistent with the directives received from Chief Davis herself, Scorpion officers carried out untold Fourth Amendment violations with focus on Black men living in Memphis. The ultimate irony is that the department and those officers' mission was to enforce the law, not break it. After a year of doing so and operating with impunity, the Scorpion unit carried on into 2023 with its sanctioned mission to inflict terror and fear on the community in the name of stop crime. Just a week into the new year, on the night of January 7th, the Scorpion unit set its sight on 29-year-old Tyre Nichols for one singular reason: he was a young Black man. The basis for Scorpion Unit officers seizing Tyre's car on January 7, 2023, has never been substantiated, nor could there ever be a basis for the frenzy of force that was about to be unjustifiably unleashed. Two Scorpion officers baselessly stopped Tyre's car, forcefully dragged him out onto the roadway, and violently apprehended him without ever articulating a reason for the stop. As the Scorpion officers escalated the situation with harsh and disgusting profanity and hostility, Tyre attempted to de escalate with measured communication and calmness. Upon recognizing these officers were operating with seething aggression and unjustified force, Tyre fled the scene toward his home where he was with his parents. What transpired next can only be described as a pack of wolves attempting to hunt down their wounded prey. Just feet from his parents and the safety of his home, five Scorpion officers tracked Tyre down and deployed their sting in the form of repeated punches, kicks, and pepper spray to a non resistant, restrained young man, shouting his mother, while they unleashed their physical hostility upon him. When Tyre fell to the ground, he was lifted back up so that officers could continue to tee off with more punches, strikes, kicks, and chemical sprays, All of this with full knowledge that their body-worn cameras were recording every second. Such a ruthless and brutal beating could only be carried out by officers that were devoid of any fear of discipline or intervention by a supervisor and with a hardened, defined impunity garnered from those running their department. To be sure, there was never any attempt to intervene by any officer or Memphis Police Department official at any point as Tyree remained defenseless throughout the onslaught. When it was finished, Tyree was propped up against the police car to be displayed like a battered trophy to be touted for the countless Memphis officials who arrive on the scene. Pictures would be taken, jokes would be made, and medical care would be withheld for over 20 minutes as Tyree's body lay devastated from the beating. Indeed, he was dying, and those on scene knew it. Tyree was eventually transported to the hospital where he battled for nearly 3 days until his body could not fight any longer. At the time of his death on January 10th, 2023, Tyree's condition in the ICU was compared to that of Emmett Till, a young man brutally beaten and killed in Mississippi in 1955. Like Till nearly 70 years prior, Tyree was left unrecognizable because of the beating he endured at hands of a modern day lynch mob. Unlike Till, this lynching was carried out by those in department sweatshirts and vests, and their actions were sanctioned expressly and implicitly by the city of Memphis. Far from being the result of the actions of five rogue police officers, the of January 7, 2023 were the culmination of a department ordered and department tolerated rampage by the unqualified, untrained, and unsupervised Scorpion unit carrying out an unconstitutional mandate on the streets of Memphis any fear of retribution or consequence because of an acceptance of and deliberate indifference to unconstitutional conduct that had been fostered since the unit's inception. This lawsuit is a civil indictment under the laws of the United States against the city of Memphis, its police department, its chief of police, the Scorpion officers involved, and all those complicit in the deprivation of Tyre Nichols' constitutional rights, his pain and suffering in his last days on this earth, and his wrongful death on January 10th, 2023. And then we have the picture on the left shows Tyre Nichols in 2020. The picture on the right shows Tyre Nichols swollen, bloody, and bruised in the ICU shortly before his death in January 2023. That gives us the breakdown of the preliminary statement. We got to read through the whole thing, see exactly what they are laying out in terms of how they got to January 7th. And a lot of this is going to revolve around the Scorpion unit. I'm not going to be surprised to see information about the training. This is going to, I think, have a lot of presentation around what that training looked like, everything from how they were dressed to how they carried themselves. I have had a chance to sort of do a preliminary review of the rest of the document. I can tell you they're going to be bringing up some other instances and examples of how the Scorpion unit operated in the community. And this is something that we have heard about in the news. We've heard a little bit of talk around this. Yes, they stopped me, and this is what it looked like. This is what happened. So I think there is going to be a whole lot more that comes out in terms of what the unit was doing and how they operated in the community and how those operations were unconstitutional and how in this case it led to the death of Tyre Nichols. So that's where I think this is going to go, but we're going to see, again, that's the preliminary that gives you the background. Notice how they compared it to the death of Emmett Till, how they talked about the officer acting like a pack of wolves going after Mr. Nichols, even when he had already been maybe, I guess, somewhat, I'm trying to figure that out, but I think they called him prey, wolves going after prey. But we're going to put all this aside and get ready for the next piece, jurisdiction, venue, and a breakdown of all the officers, because they do have to go through that listing of defendants. This gives you some information about what the preliminary statement looks like, what they're talking about going into this lawsuit. Then go ahead and give the video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace. Whatever it is I normally do.